Snipers, you have to see what's happening to the Bitcoin price this Wednesday as we have officially broke a new all-time high with our candle high at 67,000 US dollars on the dot. And that I don't believe is going to be where Bitcoin is going to stop, because we are now in price discovery for the most part. As long as this doesn't show up to be a higher high, we could start expecting further upside for Bitcoin. If we were to just take the market structural base of the symmetrical triangle to just get a estimated target for this breakout, we are looking at just below the 80,000 US dollar level. So that is potentially going to be this upside target as long as 64,855 is able to hold, which is the previous all-time high. And with this move to the upside, the biggest thing that we're going to be monitoring on the Snipers channel is going to be the effects of Bitcoin dominance moving above the 200-day moving average on the altcoin market, as well as on Ethereum specifically. It's interesting because for those inside of our Discord group, Adonis posted that if we got to a $9 trillion total market cap with 25% ETH dominance, that's potentially a $2.3 trillion valuation for Ethereum, which is currently just at about 500 billion right now. And so, Adonis, thank you for your contribution in the Discord. We have the #1 cryptocurrency trading community in the world. The link is in the description below. And when we look at what's happening to Ethereum so far, in effect, to this breakout for Bitcoin to new all-time highs, we're also breaking out of this triangle. And if we were to actually just take an estimated target based on the base of this symmetrical triangle, we are looking at a potential target here that Ethereum could go potentially just below that $6,400 level. So it looks like we have a bigger upside target, and that would make sense because Ethereum is a more volatile asset. And I think the first level of resistance is this area where there's a lot of pressure for Ethereum. In the past, we've seen this area reject Ethereum here on September 6th, and that's going to be right at the previous all-time high at 43.73. And so if Bitcoin continues to move up, I think that's the expected upside momentum that we would see with Ethereum. And so when we really dive into what's happening to the altcoins outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum, we're going to start talking about this weakness that we're seeing below the 200-day moving average and what that could mean. Because I think that one of the best predictions we've had as of recently on the Snipers channel was the Bitcoin dominance double bottoming and moving up. And we talked about two scenarios for this to be justified to happen. Number one is what happened in 2018 when we saw altcoins hedge into Bitcoin when the total market was coming down, and that allowed Bitcoin dominance to move up. And that also followed the DXY double bottoming as well and moving back to the upside. But the other reason Bitcoin dominance could be moving up, and this is what we talked about, is that Bitcoin is re-entering into a new bullish cycle, gets back into price discovery, and for the most part, it will move first before other altcoins will follow, because first Bitcoin needs to now discover its price before seeing, let's say, a rejection at some sort of level, and then we can start seeing how altcoins are reacting or how Bitcoin dominance is at that point. Because we do know for sure if Bitcoin dominance is continuing to be bullish above the 20-week moving average, it most likely wants to come towards 57.2% dominance, at least in the short term to medium term, because the 200-week moving average is where it likes to sit when it starts to see some bullish momentum. And the DXY is also moving up, which is a very correlated asset to Bitcoin dominance, and the DXY has been above the 20-week moving average since July of this year. And so with the DXY already above for over 6 weeks at this point, I think that Bitcoin dominance already confirming that it wants to follow the DXY as it usually does, and paired along with the fact that we are starting to break out, tells me that Bitcoin dominance is going to see a continuation to the upside. So it's going to be very cool to see, the way the market is going to respond to this over the next few weeks. I think that's the main thing that we're going to cover here on the Snipers channel. And, I think that there's certain ways that this could go. I think maybe monitoring the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart is probably going to be the most important chart to monitor to get the conditions of the altcoin market and get really the first indicator of how altcoins are going to be reacting to this Bitcoin dominance, moving to the upside. I think that if we watch the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart as a leading indicator for most of the other altcoins, because it is the largest altcoin, then that's going to be the best way for us to analyze the effects of Bitcoin dominance on this market, which is, I think, something we should prioritize. especially with that being one of the best predictions we've had as of recently on this channel. So with this 20-week moving average and the price action currently below it for the Ethereum and Bitcoin chart, the real question is this a start of altcoin weakness for a while, and then eventually they'll follow, or is this going to be a little bit different where altcoins start to move, with strength as Bitcoin is maybe laddering itself towards those higher price levels? I think that's all going to be unfolding over the next week to 2 weeks, and for us to start following and identifying the true trend there, it's going to probably be really soon that we find out what to watch now with these altcoins. So I think that it's a very interesting time. I think that there have been some odd things in the market. I think one of the oddest things that we've seen as of recently is the decoupling effect of the US dollar strength against Bitcoin. In 2018, when the US dollar moved above the 20-week moving average and started to move up, also bringing Bitcoin dominance up, it really hurt the Bitcoin price. But what we're seeing now potentially is Bitcoin, especially with the futures ETF here now launched, and I think they had the second largest launch of an ETF ever, with over $1 billion traded on the first day. That could have potentially decoupled Bitcoin's US dollar value away from the strength of the US dollar, because with the upside we're seeing with the US dollar, unlike in 2018, Bitcoin is actually moving up with it. So I think that's a very interesting puzzle piece that has certainly shifted from a pattern of the past. And so with us currently monitoring this target here, potentially just below 80,000 US dollars, the question is, how are the smaller time frames looking? Because everything morphs from the smaller time frames into the larger time frames. Is there any sign of weakness? I think that's an important question. Well, we go into the 6-hour chart. I think that's the best chart to look at, because this is the institutional time frame that we like to watch on the Snipers channel. We've yet to see anything crazy in terms of volume. The last time we saw a lot of volume was on September 7th, and that was sell pressure. So the question is, at these price levels above the previous all-time high with Bitcoin in price discovery, are we going to be seeing a large spike of buy pressure come in to really drive price up, potentially towards that $80,000 level? And then from there, maybe we see some sort of consolidation for us to then eventually see continuation with retail, and then potentially see a slowdown maybe towards the $80,000 to $90,000 range. I think that's on the table depending on how this next piece of institutional volume comes in, because we really want to know what institutions are deciding to do right now. On September 13th, when we saw this massive sell pressure come in at 53K, it did bring Bitcoin's price below 40,000 from 53,000. So I think that, if we see sell pressure at these higher levels, that would be an interesting puzzle piece. But with Bitcoin now above its previous all-time high, the worst case scenario is becoming less and less severe with the floor moving up. So that's the big positive about what's happening. So with the 6-hour, we're waiting for some volume. I'd like to see some volume. In terms of market structure, I think that when we're in price discovery, we obviously want to try to assume some targets based on market structure. So we have that level just below 80,000 based on the symmetrical triangle that we recently broke out from. But I think that as we start to move up and as we start to see more consolidation with Bitcoin's price, I think we could start really looking at different market structure at these higher levels. So I think that over the next few days into the next few weeks, a lot will be changing with this chart, because Bitcoin is currently in this very tight upward channel, and the question is, as we start to move up into these higher ranges, how is the market structure going to unfold there? So I don't think it's necessary to go into even smaller time frames just yet, below the 3-hour, just because we are above the previous all-time high right now. But on the 3-hour, we do have so far some descending buy pressure, so that's something to notate. But we don't have ascending sell pressure, or really even descending sell pressure. There's just not much sellers on the micro 3-hour time frame, which is, I think, why we're not seeing much of some crazy volume. But I'd like to see something on the 6-hour here really soon. I think that's going to be very important to monitor. And then, of course, as we talked about with Ethereum, we want to start monitoring the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart more than anything, because we are at a critical point here. And if we can start moving above 62,500 Satoshis, that could show a positive thing for altcoins. And that could assume that altcoins are actually not going to see too much weakness, maybe move to the side, and actually see some strength with Bitcoin dominance moving up. Because I think, once again, that's the most important thing to sort of watch right now. What is the effects of that? And with Bitcoin dominance, as long as we continue this strong uptrend, I think that not much is going to change there. And then the charts that show the altcoins outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum, we'll monitor, but I think that Ethereum to Bitcoin is going to be more important right now. The DXY is pushing down, which is a very positive thing for assets. It shows that, as much as we are above all daily moving averages, the DXY is still not necessarily in its strongest form, and that we could potentially see a slowdown. It's quite clear because we're above the 20-week moving average. We're probably in an uptrend here. But for now, the downside and the strength of the US dollar is allowing the traditional markets as well as the cryptocurrency market to do very well. And so the S&P 500 right now looks like it's ready to see new all-time highs, or at least test this highs that were on September 1st, right around the 45.50 level for the E-mini futures contract. That's a very positive thing. So when we saw the S&P 500 get above its 20-week moving average again, we said that now the environment's becoming a lot better for crypto. And of course, now we break into new all-time highs, which is a very good thing. And so it's good to see the traditional markets reacting well to the DXY. It shows that there's still health in the market. And then we look at Japan back above all daily moving averages. That's a positive thing. Largest international market. So I think that's important. And then the CSI 300 in China looks like it's forming a symmetrical triangle to break back above its daily moving averages. It does follow the Japanese markets sometimes, so that could be expected. The Euro 100 also testing highs, very similar to S&P 500, doing very well above all moving averages. And gold, I would say, is still stagnant, but oil is showing a lot of strength. So very interesting to see that. And by the way, the gold to Bitcoin chart did break down from its April 14th levels, which is a very positive thing for Bitcoin acting as a better storage of value than gold, and potentially even seeing more of gold's market cap potentially shift into Bitcoin, because maybe people are now diversifying their gold positions into Bitcoin as well, being that it's that digital form of gold. So that's a very cool thing to see here, and we will monitor this because that's how we predicted the April 14th top at 64,000 coming back above the 50-day moving average. So we can start watching this chart here a little bit more. And with that being said, thank you all for tuning into the Snipers channel today. I appreciate each and every one of you. The Discord, once again, has been blowing up, and I want to just say thank you so much to everyone contributing in the crypto chat. We have people posting every single minute, even right now while I'm making this video. Tosinger, Wudson. So we have the #1 cryptocurrency trading community in the world. Link is in the description below. And with that, thank you all once again, and I'll see you next time. Snipers out.